Paris falls under the new authoritarian regime. The City of Light is swallowed by a rising shadow across Europe. London burns under relentless firestorms. Nights turn red as survival becomes a matter of hours, not days. The Atlantic becomes a wall of steel. Supply ships vanish beneath the water, cutting Britain off from allies. Convoys sink one after another. Hope fades with every ship lost to the silent depths of the ocean. Moscow collapses in the winter smoke. Armored divisions roll through Red Square as a superpower falls silent. Kiev's defensive lines shatter. Families flee with only memories as the city crumbles behind them. Leningrad starves in brutal isolation. Hunger becomes the ruler of a once proud metropolis. The Kremlin falls silent. Leadership disappears, leaving only echoes in abandoned halls of power. Middle Eastern oil fields are seized. Global energy shifts overnight into the hands of the conquerors. Asia trembles under growing pressure. Once stable borders shake like thin wires ready to snap. A massive harbor lies in ruins. Smoke climbs higher than fear as an entire fleet is erased. Surviving ships retreat deep across the Pacific. The ocean no longer belongs to them. Australia collapses after a long siege. What seemed impossible becomes horrifyingly real. Governments evacuate their capitals, not to win, only to survive what comes next. Britain is forced into negotiation. A proud nation bows under unbearable weight. A global broadcast declares the rise of a new order. No one can turn the message off. France is annexed fully. Streets once filled with music now echo with marching boots. North Africa falls under occupation. Cities extinguish like candles against the desert wind. Rocket trails arc across the sky. Distance no longer guarantees safety. The New World Order is officially proclaimed. The old world dies in a single announcement. Secret state police knock without warning. Silence becomes the only safe language in crowded neighborhoods. Long bread lines stretch along broken streets. Survival turns into a slow, exhausting ritual. Curfews shut down every district. Night belongs entirely to fear. Propaganda screens tower over public squares, shaping reality through endless messages. Foreign languages vanish from storefronts. Identity dissolves beneath uniform signs. Families are tracked through mandatory identity systems. A file determines your future. Frequent blackout drills become routine. Darkness teaches obedience more effectively than force. Old monuments are covered with imperial emblems. Memory is rewritten in plain sight. Travel requires internal passports. Freedom of movement becomes a privilege few possess. Medical care is rationed strictly. Treatment is no longer a right, but a reward. Churches are closed or repurposed. Faith is replaced with state ceremony. Underground markets trade in whispers and scarce necessities. Children begin their day with loyalty oaths. Education transforms into indoctrination. History books glorify the empire as destiny fulfilled. Classic literature becomes forbidden. Stories once cherished are now crimes. Founders of the old nations are labeled enemies of order. Official language training spreads everywhere, erasing older tongues. Teachers fear ideological inspections. Every lesson risks punishment. Universities become military academies. Thought gives way to training. Art programs vanish. Creativity is declared unnecessary. Students take tests measuring obedience, not knowledge. Libraries purge pre-war archives. Only approved ideas survive. Youth groups enforce ideological doctrine. Childhood becomes recruitment. Graduation ceremonies resemble military parades. Drones hover above city blocks, scanning every movement. Agents hide among civilians, listening for forbidden words. Mail is censored. Love letters become potential evidence. Radio access is restricted to state frequencies. Public phones are monitored with analog tracking systems. Checkpoint barriers guard every major road and bridge. Fingerprint gates regulate district travel. Tracking dogs assist patrol units searching for fugitives. Homes are raided for contraband at any hour. Informant networks flourish. Trust becomes fragile. Encrypted notes are criminalized. Privacy evaporates. Citizen blacklists categorize risk levels. Superpowers enter a silent Cold War, tense but unbroken. Pacific territories fortify their borders under strict rule. Nuclear tests fuel growing global fear. Entire continents are mined for resources. Former nations are partitioned under rival control. Regions are redrawn to fit imperial interests. Neutral zones turn into espionage battlegrounds. Territories fracture under overlapping spheres of influence. Resistance movements trigger diplomatic crises. A new naval superfleet dominates distant seas. Economic pressure destabilizes southern neighbors. Global trade bends under authoritarian control. Jet fighters slice across the sky at impossible speeds. Orbital platforms loom above the world, watching silently. Super heavy tanks thunder through military parades. Radar networks monitor every aircraft crossing. Massive underground reactors power entire districts. Enhancement programs reshape elite soldiers. Airships patrol high-altitude corridors. Long-range missiles threaten distant cities. Strategic AI systems calculate military decisions. Rocket launches turn night into blazing daylight. Supersonic bombers cross oceans in minutes. Stealth submarines glide through deep trenches. My daughter saluted the banner before greeting me. I feel her slipping away. Our neighbor vanished for listening to a distant radio signal. I traded my father's watch for potatoes. Hunger devours dignity. My wife cries quietly. Words have become dangerous. An old photo of home stirred fear and hope inside me. Interrogation left my hands shaking long after it ended. A coworker jailed for a joke. Laughter has become a crime. I clapped during the parade, but inside I screamed. Thomas, winter punishes us harder than any enemy. A banned book kept me awake with its forbidden warmth. My daughter asked what freedom means. I had no answer. Escape haunts my dreams, but fear cages me. Church bells fall silent as spiritual life is replaced by ceremony. Pharmacies stand empty. Medicine is a privilege few receive. Fuel stations are guarded heavily. Movement is controlled. Shops close under curfew. Streets become hollow echoes. Families flee in search of safety, crossing perilous borders. District-wide blackouts plunge communities into shadow. Hospitals overflow with untreated cases.
Cold winters claim lives quietly in forgotten alleys.
Economic systems collapse as supply lines break. Markets spiral into chaos. Elite guard factions turn on each other in violent power struggles. Key leaders vanish, leaving a dangerous vacuum at the empire's core. A secret underground radio broadcasts hope into the darkness. Citizens gather at night to hear forbidden messages of rebellion. Mass defections spread as soldiers refuse to fight for a hollow future. Blackouts overwhelm major cities, amplifying unrest. Statues of the Supreme Chancellor are torn down by crowds. Sabotage cripples factories essential to the regime's power. Border regions declare independence, fracturing control. Sirens echo as districts launch coordinated uprisings. Rebel forces intercept encrypted military communication. Armored units clash for control of the capital. Secret state police fracture into rival factions. Leaders flee the collapsing capital in desperation. A massive explosion destroys a central power hub. Propaganda screens are smashed across the city. Thomas distributes leaflets, his fear overshadowed by purpose. Marchers flood toward the capital, demanding liberation. The empire collapses from within, leaving the world to rebuild from ruins.